The following program was pre-recorded.
This is ABC13 Community Close-Up. Viva Houston.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Eric Barajas. Welcome to Viva Houston. There is a national call for more civility in the way government leaders deal with politically charged issues, contentious issues such as the repeal of the Health Care Act, proposed by Republicans and now before Congress. President Barack Obama and Democratic and Republican leaders alike are calling on each other to tone down the fiery rhetoric in the wake of the tragic shooting in Tucson that left 6 people dead and Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords seriously wounded. Well, how this call to temper down language will impact the heated debate over immigration reform remains to be seen. As you know, it's a debate that has been emotional, incendiary, and divisive, marked by tones of anger and frustration and allegations of racial profiling. Also, constitutional issues pertaining to the role of state government in the enforcement of immigration policy, 14th Amendment American citizenship birthrights, and human rights protections. Well, this morning, our briefing on immigration reform. Our guests are Beto Cardenas, attorney with Vincent & Elkins, Maria Jimenez, immigration rights advocate with Grisen Center for Central American Resources, Gordon Quan, immigration lawyer with Foster Quan, and Larry Korkmaz, vice president and acting president of Texans for Immigration Reform. Thank you all for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start out with what we touched on the top right there. In the wake now, 2 weeks now, of the shooting there in Tucson. Do you think it will help in any way tone down, as we mentioned, the sometimes fiery rhetoric in the political spotlight, especially regarding immigration reform policy? Bethel?
I think it's unfortunate that the incident did occur in Arizona, but our hope is that it does bring people together, particularly our politicians in Washington and in Austin, and help us get towards solutions rather than agitated problems.
Okay, Maria?
Well, we have always sustained that our struggle to protect human rights is based on the principle of nonviolence espoused by Martin Luther King. And that principle includes seeing all people for their humanity, respecting all people independent of their opinions, of their basic rights and their basic dignity, and making of no one an enemy. So from our standpoint, the discussion of immigration should be based on the analysis of human rights, human dignity, and state needs.
We think, guys, this will bring a more civil debate to all politics, of course, regarding immigration reform.
Well, initially, Eric, I think we may see a little toning down of it. As you know, when Gabrielle Giffords first ran for Congress, she ran against a border watch person, and there was a heated debate at that time, and there had been threats on her life previously. So I'm hopeful that we'll see a little toning down. But this is such an emotional issue that I'm a bit skeptical as to the long-term implications.
Okay. Mr. Korkmaz?
The problem that I see is that the shooting in Arizona had nothing to do with the dialogue that was going on. We have a crazy man, and there have always been crazy men. One of them shot President Reagan. One of them shot John Lennon. We have crazy people out there, and I don't really know how you transfer what happened in Arizona to the dialogue that we have on various issues. Heated debate has been part of our history, beginning with the people who created the Constitution. And so the thing about it is, good heated debate is fine as long as there's a respectfulness in regard to that. So how long this lasts?
You know, some people are getting at,
sure.
You know, even Gordon, is the respectfulness there? Sometimes it's not. More than likely, things will pick up like they were probably in weeks, if not months following. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the revamping issues of immigration reform once that gets tackled, hopefully, by this administration. There's always the debate there. Who really bears responsibility in enforcing immigration law? It's kind of gone back and forth in between some states. Of course, Arizona. Bethel, I mean, does it solely fall on the federal government?
The federal government bears the responsibility and the burden. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution gives that power to Congress. The federal agencies should be enforcing border security. They should be having a sensible immigration policy, but we know it's broken. Obviously, the states have taken some action, and the courts are interpreting who has a role.
And we know the states, you know, Arizona and Texas, sometimes included, feel like their backs against the wall. They've got to step in some form or fashion. Maria, what do you think?
Well, definitely the Constitution says that it is the federal government who has authority over immigration matters. The states have stepped in, but I think the states at times have undertaken the work that should be left to the federal government, and even want to impose it upon localities to do so, such as the enforcement of immigration law on local police departments.
The 287G?
287G, as well as the Secure Communities program. So there is under the issue of the failure to reform.
The government needs to address it at some point. Larry, what are you thinking on this?
Our thinking is that the government has failed terribly, and the state would not be involved in this if the federal government had done their job to begin with. And therefore, what is happening is, and we also have cities who have become sanctuary cities, and that is intentional not enforcement of what laws they could enforce. So therefore, when that happens, then you force the state to take action. And, you know, we have under our Constitution, yes, it is a role of the federal government, but the state of Texas could actually declare war on another country if we were attacked. And the United States government did not do that. That is in the Constitution. Most people have not read it, so they don't know.
Okay, Gordon.
Well, you know, again, I think what we're seeing is a lot of frustration with the lack of action by the federal government. It's clearly a federal issue. Congress has punted the ball repeatedly. President Bush tried to bring immigration reform. That died twice. President Obama's tried to do something. It's frustration that we're seeing that the state and local governments are taking action, but it's clearly a federal issue and should be addressed by the federal government.
And I'd like to say that there are no sanctuary cities in the state of Texas.
Let's talk about that a bit. Now, this was brought to light here. Governor Perry saying that was going to be one of his priorities there just this week. He brought up the notion that he wanted to abolish all sanctuary cities, but is there even a legal definition of sanctuary city? I mean, can anyone really define that? Larry, let's start with you.
There is no formal definition of a sanctuary city, but it's kind of like pornography. You know it when you see it. And so we have a situation here. We have one up on the north side of the city, another city that has intentionally made it possible and welcomed in illegal aliens to work, and they have work centers. When we don't enforce the law, it's a sanctuary city. And if we have city rules telling our policemen, do not ask, even if someone admits we don't want to hear about it, that's a problem.
Okay, Gordon?
Well, the Congressional Legislative Bureau researched this issue, and the nexus comes from the 80s when people were fleeing Central America and some communities were offering sanctuary in churches and things of that nature. And that became a popular phrase. But as far as a definition, there's no clear definition. I was on city council when we adopted some of the rules in Houston, and it was a matter of priority. You know, if we have our police trying to enforce immigration laws, that'll double the time it takes to answer a distress call. Our need is protection of the citizens first and foremost, and that's how Houston has interpreted their responsibility in enforcing the law.
Okay, Bethel.
Harris County, I think, has really struck a balance, and that is the 287G program. If somebody is pulled over and has an outstanding warrant for their arrest, or if anybody is taken in under arrest into our jail facility, a procedure is done on everybody, regardless of what they look like, regardless of their age or gender, regardless of what crime was committed, and they are able to tell, one, whether that person is a citizen of the United States. If they are not, the question becomes, are they here legally? Why do we have that? We need a balance, really, to make certain that we don't have lawlessness in our community, that we don't have the danger of individuals leaving the prison system.
So are you saying officers on the street should be allowed to question legal status, or is it okay to do it just solely in the jails like we're doing out in Harris County?
But what we're doing in Harris County works, and I think that really works effectively in the sense that we were able to turn over to the federal government individuals that should not be committing crimes or be in this country in the first place.
Okay, Maria, before we go to break, quick comment from you?
Well, basically, if we do begin to ask people for their immigration status, which is a civil violation, what will happen is that the immigrant community begins to fear police, begins to fear participating in the reporting crimes. Was it okay to do it in a jail,
or are you saying on the street only?
Well, if it's done in the jail, we have seen a lot of innocent people in our reports from the government that even people with civil violations are are caught up in the net. And those are reports from the Department of Homeland Security itself.
Okay.
So that's the objection we have, is that we do not mix civil violation with criminal violations.
Okay.
They're two different things, because we need to ensure public safety for everyone. And if one section of the community fears the police, then that community will be subject to criminal activity and will hinder public safety for everyone. And
public safety is a common ground point right there, and we'll pick it up on the other side of another break. We'll continue our discussion on immigration reform after these messages.
You want entertainment centers, consoles for your flat screen TV and your components, Gallery Furniture has the largest selection anywhere, in stock and ready for immediate delivery. If you want surround sound systems and flat screen TVs to watch the big game, Gallery Furniture has it in stock. And of course, if you want home, theater, leather, stadium seating, buy it today, get it tonight. Gallery Furniture has sight, sound, seating, and entertainment centers for your home theater room. Buy it today. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight. Biggest selection ever, lowest price, fastest delivery. Gallery Furniture always saves you money and delivers today.
Just in time for the big game, take $400 off a 47-inch LG 1080p 120Hz LCD TV, now just $699. And take $100 off a GE 18.2 cubic foot refrigerator with ice maker, just $499. Get a free Samsung 42-inch plasma with any furniture purchase of $19.99 or more.
You want a better life at the best price. You deserve it at Combs.
Welcome back as we continue our talk on immigration reform issues. Our guests once again are attorney Beto Cardenas, immigration rights advocate, Maria Jimenez, immigration attorney, Gordon Quan, and Texans for Immigration Reform acting president Larry Korkmaz. Thank you all again for being here. Let's talk about some of the proposals going through the Texas legislature in Austin, if they are sensible and realistic. We'll start with one of the proposed bills, legislation focusing on finding and identifying illegal immigrants to arrest them. Beto, how about we start with you?
I think you have to go back to the first discussion which we had, is whose responsibility is this? Do we really want people out in the streets pulling people over just based on what they look like or what their accent sounds like? I don't think that's the America that I grew up understanding in my history books, or the America or Texas I want to live in. And so you've got to really ask what the goal is here. If we're trying to end illegal immigration, then this is not the best approach. If we're trying to pull people over and take people out of a community that look different or sound different, then I don't think that's the type of state we want to really have.
You don't think it's too sensible? Okay, Gordon, I see you kind of nodding your head over there. What are you thinking?
Well, I think we're opening ourselves up for racial profiling. There have been a number of cases where the police have stopped people, started questioning them, and determined that those persons were undocumented or illegal, and they in fact were citizens of the United States, and the city ended up paying multi-million dollars in fines. I mean, you look at this panel and you look at who Houston is. There is no majority population, but I bet if the police were asked to stop us, Larry would be the one who got by without being questioned. Whereas most of us would be asked, where's your documents? I was born in China, but I was born as a U.S. citizen.
Okay, Larry, let's go ahead and go to you. I mean, do you think the state should be involved, Texas anyway, in finding and arresting illegals?
I don't know that we're involved in finding and arresting illegals. I'll tell you, one of the things that we are looking at is taking people off the street who do not have a driver's license, who do not have insurance, who do not have or car registration, who do not have license plates, inspections. I've been hit 4 times by these people. All 4 times the police let them go, and they drove away in the cars that they were in. That is wrong, and that will never be acceptable to the people of Texas, including the legal immigrants who are here.
Okay, all right, let's focus on another proposed bill focusing on immigration status of public school students. Maria, can we start with you?
Well, here the idea is to report students without documents from pre-K to high school. And again, it's one of those things where it can have a chilling effect on parents enrolling students in school, which would be detrimental for everyone. Children that are uneducated.
Might keep parents from enrolling students and not letting them get in. Beto, I see you kind of making a motion over there. What do you think? Should we focus on kids that are here illegally in public school systems?
I believe in the Constitution. I believe the Supreme Court sets the law of the land when it needs to be interpreted. In 1982, Plyler v. Doe, Supreme Court case, arguing the issues here in Texas, which Texas had taken upon itself to do, very much like this, already set the standard and said this is not constitutional. Now, if somebody wants to rewrite the Constitution, I think they're free to do that. That can start obviously through a constitutional convention, but to bog down the state legislature at a time when we're facing a budget deficit, I think you should look at what the law is, what the Supreme Court has said it is, and it is clear and it's concise, and this is not an issue that the state legislature should delve into.
Okay, I want to look at another thing, because this has also made some headlines too, especially involving truck drivers in our state. The issuance of certain occupational licenses, driver's license and ID certificates. I know I saw at least one news report of a truck driver who was here illegally, was driving, working for a business, and his license was revoked. Larry, how about we start with you?
If he is here illegally, his license should be revoked. This is a problem that we keep having over and over. It's like we have a set of rules for citizens, which we all go by. And then we have a rule for people who are here illegally, which we do not. You're
talking about a guy who's working, 50, 60 hours a week, paying taxes, a hard-working individual, but he should be revoked of that privilege.
Frankly, I could give you the names of probably 20 or 30 truck drivers who are legal citizens who are unemployed right now.
Okay. But Eric, I think the situation is that these individuals have employment authorization. They're here on temporary protected status. The government has allowed them to stay and to work. But our laws are not sensitive to their situation, and the Department of Public Safety has not included that in the list of people that are entitled to driver's licenses. And that shows the confusion that we're having here between what's the role of the state and what's the role of the federal government. The government says, yes, stay, work, help your family. The state says, no, you can't work, you can't do this job.
Definitely a broken part of the system needs to be addressed with comprehensive immigration reform. Let's go ahead and talk about another thing that's garnered a lot of headlines over the last couple of weeks. Debate over the 14th Amendment, birth rights issue. Bethel, can we start with you? How do you think this plays? Some people are saying the Constitution wasn't originally written to allow illegal aliens that right.
I'm not old enough to tell you back then when it was written, but look, we have a problem. I think what we're trying to do is one of our U.S. senators, Senator Quan, said in addressing this issue is really treat a symptom and not the problem. The problem is that we've got individuals coming into this country without documentation, without going through inspection, and having children, which in some cases may be a cost to society. In other cases, they're not, but in some they are. What we really should do is look at a balance of fixing that broken system so that we're not treating these types of symptoms and tampering with one of the most sacred documents that this country was founded upon.
Okay, Maria, can we go to you real quick? What do you think about the notion of someone coming over illegally, having a child, and obviously that child being granted citizenship here?
Well, the person born here citizen here, and it's unfortunate that this is the degree of where this debate has gone to, where basic recognized legal constitutional rights are being attacked, and proposal of denial to whole sections of people, and we have to protect it because it is already a constitutional right. And again, Beto said it well, if the issue is to change the Constitution.
Now, some people are questioning whether it's a constitutional right. We've got to go to a break pretty quick here, but Larry, I do want to get a quick comment on from you.
Our opinion is it is not a constitutional right. It was set up for African Americans who are being denied their rights to vote. There is a court ruling that says that these children are covered, that they're instant citizens. We disagree with that. We don't think you need a constitutional amendment. What we need is a Supreme Court to go back and fix the problem. They are not infallible. After all, they're the people who set forth a very ugly decision that created the Civil War.
Okay, Gordon, real quick before we go to break.
The leading case in this issue is Wong Ark Kim, dealing with a Chinese individual born in the United States who went back to China, and the Supreme Court said he is an American citizen. He has the right of entry in the United States, and that that case was decided in 1898. It's settled. That is the law of the land. Okay. So to go back, as Beto says, go amend the Constitution, but that's the law of the land.
Okay, thank you all very much. More on immigration reform after these messages.
I took my Camaro to Mako for an awesome paint job.
Mako expertly repaired my BMW too. And, believe it or not, my insurance agent recommended them. I was back in my car in no time.
That's why I choose Mako for paint.
And collision.
But if you need paint now, you need Mako now.
For a limited time, Mako's popular presidential paint service is now half price. That's right, half price. Come in today. You don't want to miss our presidential paint half price sale. Whatever your better get Mako.
The Chevron Houston Marathon, Aramco Houston Half Marathon, El Paso Corporation 5K, and APP Team Challenge will run on Sunday, January 30th, 2011. Supported by Chevron and Aramco Services Company, El Paso Corporation, the Sports Authority, Under Armour, ABB, and HEB. The event brings $25 million to Houston's economy and $1.8 million to area charities. Visit ChevronHoustonMarathon.com to learn more about running, volunteering, or supporting a race charity.
Welcome back to Viva Houston. As we conclude our talk on immigration reform, let's go ahead and focus a little bit on the 12 million, estimated 12 million illegal immigrants here. What would be a humane way to deal with those illegals that are here right now? Bethel, can we start with you? I mean,
you have to find a balance, and everything's going to have to start with the security of our borders. You cannot just skip over that and skip over making certain that we have an E-Verify system that works. We need a temporary worker program for individuals who want to come into this country, work legally, contribute, pay taxes. And once we do some of those things, then I think you're going to find people, and once those things are working, you'll find individuals coming together to find a rational solution that deals with the individuals who are here. What does that mean? It's going to be tough. It doesn't mean citizenship on day one. It may not even mean a path to citizenship. Okay. But it should mean that we are a humane society, that we're American in every way, and that we try to bring people together.
Okay, Maria?
Well, we have to remember that as late as 1996, immigration law permitted people who lived here for 7 years, who worked, who did not have criminal records, a way of adjusting their immigration status and becoming residents if they chose to stay, if they chose not to be the part of the workforce that goes and comes back between their home countries and their employment. And so those options have closed, and we need to open them so that we don't have to think of 12 million without documents, but a continual process for the adjusting of status of people who contribute, who are part of the society, and who want to remain part of the society.
Okay. Gordon, Larry, again, the 12 million that are here, estimated again, what do you think should happen to those people? Granted citizenship or penalized in some form or fashion?
I think there should be a pathway to citizenship eventually. I don't want an instant reward, but some way we can stabilize their status, because we need to know who these people are. As long as they're in the underground economy, they're not helping us in many ways. They're not paying taxes. They're blotted in their ability to take on higher paying jobs. So we need to know who these people are. We have to have an inducement to get them out into the open. And I think registering them, but putting criteria such as paying taxes, learning English, not getting involved in crime, over a certain period of time would be the way to go.
Okay, Larry, what's your thought process on this?
Many good ideas here. Well, one of the things we always have to remember, we have United States citizens, and our own citizens come first. Then we need a program to allow people to come in to fill those jobs that we can't fill right now. A worker program where people come in and work just like when we go to other countries, but their children do not have automatic citizenship if they have children here. As a matter of fact, most of us would prefer that they come by themselves, they work for a period of time, and they return home. Because many people, there's great confusion about this. Many people come here and they're economic immigrants, if you want to call them that. They came here for opportunity. It's not that they're not jobs that they're in their home country. The problem is we pay more here than their home country. So they come here for economic benefit. They don't come here to become U.S. citizens. And that's the reason why we see flags from all over the world flying on certain days. Right. These people still associate themselves with their country of origin, not the United States.
Okay. All right. Let's get some closing comments there. Wish we could hit on more, but like you touched on, employers play a huge part in this, and we kind of didn't get to touch on that, but they are the one providing jobs that these people are seeking. Let's get some closing comments in quickly. Just got like about 2 minutes left. Bethel, can we talk with you?
If we ended up having a secure, tamper-proof biometric identifier for every individual that was authorized to work or that would grant authorization to work in this country, I think we would start to see a difference in terms of where we are with the undocumented population. I'm not saying that, you cannot deal with two issues at once, but if you dealt with that in answering your question on where we are with employers, I think you would have a clear picture. The E-Verify system is not perfect, but it's not the enemy. I think if we begin to look at ways to improve that, we'll get toward
okay,
a
you want
better
to start
solution.
identifying the people that we have here, okay? Maria.
We have to remember that at one point or another, many of us have probably illegally passed a traffic light or didn't make a stop. And so in that sense, we're all illegals. And so for us, we have to drop that inaction makes the whole population unlawful. And we have to remember that it's about human beings, and we have to respect all people equally in their dignity and in their rights, and our society, the policies, the laws, and the principles. Undocumented immigrant, unauthorized worker. There are many other terms that even the law uses
so you want to
itself.
Kind of change our language, our verbiage a little bit.
Because it changes our perception that we are dealing about real human beings.
Okay. Gordon.
I'd like to see a realistic way that people can immigrate. Right now, the quotas are so limited that the waiting line for a skilled worker is 7 years, and if they were illegally in the United States for 1 year, they have another 10 years to wait. So an employer would have to wait 17 years before that person could ever come legally to the United States.
Okay.
That's not realistic. We need a system that works to help employers and provide an avenue that people can come.
All right, Larry, you get our closing comment here.
Closing comment. We need to know who is in our country. We need to secure our borders. And as I've said many times before, the day that a nuke or some other weapon of mass destruction goes off, this whole argument changes, because we have an open border. That border has to be closed, and we have to know who is in the country and why they are here.
Okay.
And I think that is one of our most important issues.
Okay, hopefully this topic will get tackled here in the Obama administration. Thank you all for joining us this morning with your expertise. We'll be back in a moment with an announcement of interest to middle and high school students and their parents.
Just in time for the big game, take $400 off a 47-inch LG 1080p 120Hz LCD TV, now just $699. And take $100 off a GE 18.2 cubic foot refrigerator with ice maker, just $499. Get a free Samsung 42-inch plasma with any furniture purchase of $19.99 or more.
You want a better life at the best price. Deserve it at Cox.
A town's pride.
I can't really explain it.
A family's love.
I haven't got the words.
A boy's dream.
It's a feeling that you can't control.
This is Billy Elliot with music by Elton John. This spectacular new show is the winner of 10 Tony Awards and has been named Time Magazine's Best Musical of the Decade. February 23rd through March 13th at the Hobby Center. Tickets on sale now at BroadwayAcrossAmerica.com or Tuts.com.
Before we go, Houston Hispanic Forum invites middle school and high school students and their parents to its annual Career and Education Day designed to help prepare students for successful careers. That's on Saturday, February 19th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the George R. Brown Convention Center. For details, visit HispanicForum.org. This concludes today's program. To view it online, go to vivahouston.abc13.com. Thank you for joining us. For Viva Houston, I'm Eric Barajas. Have a great Sunday.